think of her baby as a girl and had named her Sarah. "It's not the smartest move we've made, is it? I don't know a soul in this town, but it looks like the kind of place where we could be happy." Her stomach growled, and she tried to remember the last time she'd eaten. A small poster advertising $1.99 breakfast special showed in the bowling alley window. Apparently, there was a cafe inside. The small restaurant was busy. Almost all the seats were taken, but Amy was fortunate to find an empty booth. A waitress handed her a menu when she brought her a glass of water and glanced at her suitcase. "You missed the bus, honey?" she asked. "You need a place to wait." "Actually, I just got off," Amy said, touched by the other woman's concern. "I'll take the breakfast special." "It's the best buy in town," the woman, whose name tag identified her as Denise, said as she wrote the order down on her pad. Seeing that the waitress was the friendly sort, Amy asked, "Do you happen to know of someone who needs a competent bookkeeper?" Denise gnawed thoughtfully on her lip. "I can't say I do, but I'm sure there's a job for you in Promise if you're planning to settle here." The news cheered Amy as much as the welcome she felt. Already she was beginning to believe she'd made the right decision. Promise, Texas would be her new address, the town where she'd raise her baby, where she'd make a life for them both. "I can do just about anything," Amy added, not bothering to disguise her eagerness. "And I'm not picky either." "Then I'm sure all you need to do is ask around." A rancher sitting at a table across from Amy caught Denise's eye and lifted his empty coffee mug. "Be right with you, Cody," she said, then looked back at Amy. "Tex will have your meal out in a jiffy." "Thank you for your help," Amy said, grateful for Denise's encouragement and kindness. As she waited, she found herself fighting the urge to close her eyes. She staved off a yawn as her meal arrived. The eggs, toast, and hash browns tasted better than anything she'd ever eaten. She hadn't realized how hungry she was, and had to force herself to eat slowly. When she'd finished the meal, Amy left her money on the table and included a larger-than-usual tip in appreciation for Denise's welcoming helpfulness. As she stood up to leave, the rancher Denise had called Cody sent her a curious glance. He smiled in her direction until he noticed the slight rounding of her abdomen. Then his eyes widened, and he abruptly turned the other way. Amy shook her head in amusement. Taking Denise's advice, she walked down Main Street and looked for help-wanted signs posted in store windows. She saw none, and it occurred to her that it might not be a good idea to apply for a position, suitcase in hand. Her first priority was finding a place to live. Besides, her feet hurt, and the suitcase was getting heavier by the minute. That was when Amy saw the church. It could have appeared on a postcard. Small and charming, it was built of red brick and had wide, welcoming steps that led up to arched double doors. They were open, and although she felt silly thinking this, the church seemed to be inviting her in. Amy soon found herself walking toward it. Lugging her suitcase up the stairs, she entered the vacant church and looked around. The interior was dark on one side, while rainbow-hued sunlight spilled in through stained-glass windows on the other. Silently, she stepped inside, slipped into a back pew, and sat down. It felt good to be off her feet, and she gave an audible sigh, followed by a wide yawn. She'd rest a few minutes, she decided. Just a few minutes. The male voice that reached her came out of nowhere. Amy bolted upright. Her eyes flew open, and she realized she'd fallen asleep in the pew. "I beg your pardon," she said, instantly feeling guilt. It took her a moment to discern anything in the dim interior. When her eyes had adjusted, she saw a tall, rugged-looking man standing in the church aisle, staring down at her. He resembled a rancher, not unlike the one she'd seen in the cafe, except that he wore a suit and a string tie.
"Is there a problem?"
he asked, his voice gentle. "No." She shook her head. "None." Flustered, she stood clumsily and grabbed for her suitcase.
"My sermons might be boring, but people generally wake up before Thursday afternoon."